All right, we're here talking about the Cup race at Richmond. This is it's very unfortunate that we don't have practice or we didn't get qualified or any of that stuff on track, and so we're leaning a lot on what I think the teams can bring to the track, and just how and really I'm leaning on kind of how they performed at Phoenix. And even on top of that, I'm still leaning on the fact that passing is going to be difficult. I understand that we have a lot of variables in terms of where guys can potentially finish and guys be in terms of speed. But for the most part, I think in terms of line construction and in terms of building, I think the 5K range is very much in play. I think you can make cases, and I'm going to have lines that have LaJoy, lines that have Harrison Burton, lines that have Todd Gillen, lines that have Justin Haley, and I'll probably have some lines with Ty Dillon in the event that he is able to move up from 36th and get into the top 30. But I don't know how likely that is. When I made my projections, I really did project guys to kind of hold their positions and not have a lot of swings up the field or down the field. And so, I have, like, for example, Michael McDowell, I got him projected for 14th today. Corey LaJoy for 17th. Is that going to happen? I mean, I wish we had some practice, and for a fact, I know qualifying speed can certainly when we look at Phoenix show that these guys have speed. It's a shame that we just don't have that stuff. So Todd Gillen is certainly risky. I probably won't get to Stenhouse Jr. just because I would honestly much rather prefer LaJoy and Burton, even Logano. So I didn't get to Stenhouse. But that's really my early, not even my early take, but my early look is I'm gonna build kind of the way I want to approach this race and just focus on guys, probably in the top half of the field, being there all day, having fast cars and whatnot. In terms of who has a fast car, in terms of who I think will actually have speed and get through the field. Oh man, I forgot to highlight one of the chalk text. I think Daniel Suarez is probably the safest play on the slate. I think it would be very hard for him to not get into the top 10 and to not run fast laps. I also have, if you're looking at the projections and if you join the Patreon, yet again, thank you so much. Everything that I use is already baked into the projections. So, the pit stall selections, which I really lean on at short tracks as well, which is leaning to, Hendrick having a really good chance of getting the lead, not just Bowman or Byron, but Larson. I can see a lot of. Let me move down. I can see a lot of situations where Hendrick is just able to hold on to the lead with one of their cars all day. Bowman has a fantastic pit stall, number one pit stall, probably the most important one in general, certainly for yellow flag conditions at the end of stages and stuff like that. I think he is at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to green flag pit stops. But I mean, we're deep in the weeds here. But I always like using pit stalls as a really, really good indicator, specifically here at Richmond. In terms of who I really, really want to chase and build around today, I think we can make a lot of cases for Alex Bowman, William Byron, and Kyle Larson. Those will probably be my priorities. And if I'm getting off of people, it'll probably be me getting off of one of those three guys and then throwing in a Chastain, throwing in a Kyle Busch, throwing in a Harvick, a Hamlin, Truex. But I think even with that, I think I can cover my bases that I want to cover with maybe 8 lineups of the Bowman, Byron, and Larson train. I haven't finished all my lines, but that is probably my favorite 3 to build around. And I'm probably going to do 14 to 20 lines. I don't really want to do 20 because we don't have practice. I don't want to absolutely just whiff on something due to the volatility and variability that anybody can have in this race just due to the fact that we didn't see them on track. But I'm gonna try and cover all the bases that I can, that I want to, and that I feel comfortable with. The 3 remaining positions and lineups that have Bowman, Byron, and Larson. Those are probably my 3 favorite guys. Once you get past that, the people that I would probably, and these are all secondary priorities past those 3, it's probably going to lean Kyle Busch and then probably Harvick. It's a close one. Those are probably the second guys that I want to look at in terms of leading laps. Now, I have laps led and fast laps given out to nearly everybody inside the top 12 today, but those would probably be the priorities. At this point, an argument can be made that Josh Berry will start easily passing people in terms of DraftKings points because, at the end of the day, we're probably going to have 3 to 4 drivers, certainly above 50, but 3 to 4 drivers I'm going to argue to be over 60 points. And then everybody else who doesn't get a ton of fast laps and laps led might score mid to low 40s. And if that's the case, Josh Berry really makes an interesting play. It depends on who you're playing. Like if I'm going Byron Larson and Bowman, I just can't get to Berry in that line. But if you think, or if you're happy with your 2-lap leader build and you think that you have a lot of cheaper guys who can lead laps and get fast laps, stuff like that, honestly, Josh Berry makes a lot of sense here. We saw that he honestly had a real chance at killing the DFS field at Phoenix, and he was at 2% owned. Clearly, we're not going to get that again. But Josh Berry is very much in contention to work his way and possibly be optimal. And certainly if one of the 3 lap leaders has an issue maybe late in the race, speeding on pit lane, blowing a tire, getting involved in a wreck, whatever the case may be, if we lose one of the, guys who were going to be optimal and we just end up, basically erasing all those fast laps and laps led that individual driver gets, I think Berry could very easily fit in as your 3rd highest scoring guy in a line. And he's really the only place differential outside of Suarez that I kind of really understand and like, because Berry is very easily going to, I can easily see him passing 10 cars, if not more, in this race, just based on what Hendrick is going to bring. That's really the main takeaway. That's really my main approach that I want to be at. I'm not entirely sure how many lineups I'm going to end up with Harvick right now. And as I said, I'll probably cap my Bowman Byron Larson builds to maybe 8 or 9 of my 14 lines, just so I don't absolutely get buried if one of those guys has a bad day. But I just find it hard to believe that that just Hendrick doesn't win this race. I find it hard to believe that one of those 3 guys doesn't get the win at the end of the race. So let me go ahead and see how you guys are doing. Oh man, there's like nobody watching. Well, 73 of you guys are here, but where are all the comments? Where are all the questions and stuff? I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining me early on this Sunday. I apologize that I didn't really advertise this last night, or I didn't have it up before. I stayed up watching the F1 race. I was like, okay, cool, man. This race is gonna be over by like 1:30. It's gonna be fine. I normally go to sleep at like 2 o'clock anyway. Bro, I didn't go to sleep till like 4 in the morning, man. So I really didn't even bother setting the live stream up or anything like that. Bush, Bell, Hamlin, Chandler Smith, Dylan Priest. I personally, I don't like that line. I really don't. I like Hendrick. However, I am not in this race, and this could just be the wrong take, especially because we don't have practice data to support it. But I really don't want to play it for place differential. And because of that, I'm not going to have any Christopher Bell today. I'm just not. And I'm really tempted to not have any Joey Logano and Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. When we look at their pit selections, I'm a much bigger fan of Blaney over Bell, because Bell will most likely continuously have Haley in front of him. I don't think Haley's going to go a lap down early enough to be a factor. But Blaney has a really, really good pit stall. And you can argue that Logano has a good pit stall because the 77 title will probably be a lap down at some point in this race, and he won't have anybody in front of him or behind him in pit stall selections. But between those 3 guys, Bell is probably my least favorite of those 3. And the fact that you have both Hamlin and Bell in that is rough. Let's talk about Chandler Smith. Yet again, no practice. We know that AJ and Haley, based on Phoenix, will probably run anywhere from 18th to 25th in this race if it goes green. Anything more than that, I think, will be an absolute ceiling performance that I would not project for. Due to that, Chandler Smith will probably have a car that is going to run probably around 28th to 26th to 24th to 23rd. Now, that'll be right on the cusp of hitting 5X. But as I stated with the Phoenix video, man, once you nail your lap leaders, I think it'll really just fall to whoever scores better there. And I currently have Chandler Smith for 28.9 points. And I mean, that's very iffy on who he can beat. Like, I have basically Corey LaJoie projected for the same thing. I have McDowell projected for a bit more. I have, some certain guys up front, if they can hold their position, which they were able to show it at Phoenix, I think they can outscore Chandler Smith. And so I don't, I in terms of argument, in terms of me being like, oh, don't play this guy or play this guy, I made my cases why I'm not a big fan of Bell, Logano, or Blaney. But Chandler Smith is not one that I would be like completely steer away from. Just make sure the lineup makes sense there. Let's see. If you had to choose a core four, I gave you my 3, which is what I basically do anyway. Even on Discord, not in Discord, on Patreon as well. Man, Priest and Barry. I mean, clearly I'm building completely different from a majority of people because I'm really not even considering the back half of the field today. Is that the right strategy? Is it not the right strategy? I mean, we'll see. It was the right one at Phoenix, and I want to lean way more into that because I think, look, man, I know this is a long race, but you can't, like, if you don't have speed here, you're absolutely screwed. You're absolutely screwed. And it's going to be hard to pass. It is going to be hell to get through the field today. I mean, that's mainly it. In terms of JGR, I mean, I like Hamlin over Truex. I will probably get to them in probably maybe 1 or 2 lines, but I'm not going to prioritize Truex and Hamlin when Hendrick and even Chevy in general. Bowman, Kyle Busch, Byron, Chastain, Kyle Larson, those guys should be the front runners for laps led in this race. I think, yes, JGR is probably going to be the first one to short pit. They're probably going to gain some positions, but we've seen JGR be able to get the lead here and hold the lead here because you're the leader in these long green flag runs. They're not going to be the leader here. I know we got to get through a competition caution, but I just find it hard to believe that Hamlin or Truex will be in the driver's seat of the race. I think that team is going to be playing catch up, and not because they're going to be that drastically slow, but because track position is so huge here. If you're running 10, let's say we get to green flag pit stops, and the leader's entering 3, in first place, and you're in, 10th right now, leaving turn 2, like short pitting is not going to gain you that amount of track space, especially if they pit, if they see you pit and they follow you, then when they come around turn 2 again, like I just find it hard to believe that JGR is going to be able to get the lead in this race due to that. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Logano, how worrisome should we see about his car? Didn't show. Yeah, Logano was a fucking melon at Phoenix. There's big concern with Blaney and Logano in this race, and Truex as well. Did we see major speed out of the Joe Gibbs cars at Phoenix? I mean, not really, man. It was Byron and Larson, but it was really just Chevys in general. Like, they were drastically faster than the Fords and stuff. In terms of RFK, man, there's Buescher. I will probably have a Buescher line, but he's a real tough one to see holding on to. Not even his position, but based on his pricing, that it's going to be really, really hard for Buescher to be optimal today. I would much rather play the guys in the teens. I don't know, man. He's a bit more expensive than what I want to pay there. I think I'm already being drastically aggressive by targeting, cheaper guys in the 20 or inside the top 20. Keselowski as well showed good speed at Phoenix, but I don't know, man. I think and it's difficult to get these guys in lineups, man. Keselowski's at 8-3, Buescher's at 8-4. Look, when I'm playing my Bowman, Larson, and Byron, it is hard to get to that price range. So, I think if depending on who the lap leaders are, it can force out Buescher and Keselowski from being optimal, because the optimal might not be able to afford them in that situation. This race will look like 2010's Harvick, Hamlin, Truex, right? What's going on, Kay? Since tire wear is Rager, what team's gonna have the best pit crew? I mean, it's gonna be decided in the pits, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, the pit crew is gonna be huge, but you're not, especially with how slow the pit road speed here is at Phoenix, here at Richmond. If everybody, even if you're not gonna take 2 tires here in the pits, if you're first and somebody in 10th has a faster pit stall, he's not going to take the lead. He might move up from 10th to 6th, 10th to 5th, which will be great. But if we're playing guys who are going to be running, and this is why I argue, fuck the term dominator. Seriously, play guys who are going to compete for fast laps and laps led. If you have in your line at this race, at some point in this race, if you have 4 guys in your line, which you can realistically do, certainly 3 guys in your line that are going to be running probably top 7. I mean, yeah, pit crew speed is important, but if you have 3 of the top 7 entering the pits, there's a good chance you're going to have the lap leader, or you're going to have the leader coming out of that pits selection. And I mean, as I said, pit stalls are already factored into my projections. But Bowman should be fantastic. Byron should be fantastic. Kyle Busch should be fantastic. Larson should be fantastic. I mean, those would probably be the priorities. Harvick would probably be the next one past that. But I'm telling you, I really like, those Hendrick guys and Kyle Busch, Chastain, and Suarez. Those are guys that I kind of want to target, that I really want to focus on. You guys got to stop asking me about prize picks, man. I don't like prize picks. I'm not a fan of prize picks, man. There's so much. I would much rather, in my opinion, there's way better things on DraftKings to spend money on than focusing on prize picks and stuff. But let's see. Okay, well, William Byron. Okay. Well, both William Byron, probably William Byron fast laps would probably be my priority. I know you can't do both fast laps and laps led, but I like his 61 over for laps led. Harvick, I think, is very much in the air. Could very easily take or give. Let me look at these real quick here. Probably, I don't know if I'm going to have money on these, but just looking through real fast, probably the over on Ross Chastain fantasy score. Probably over on Daniel Suarez fantasy score. But those are probably the only 3 that I would really bother with. And I'm not even a big fan of those, so wouldn't do that if I were me. Or I just wouldn't play. I don't know. Dude, I don't like props. I really don't. My mind, I just really don't like prop betting, to be honest. I'm the idea to the point that I set myself a reminder on the phone to stack the yeah, dude. And man, oh man. Yesterday, that was. I'm not even mad. I am baffled. Absolutely baffled. I know one guy. I had 2 messages last night. One was a comment on the live stream yesterday. He was mad. He was saying, "This is my first season listening, and all you've done is lost me money." And he was mad that I had Jack Wood as well. I don't think I ever came across being like, we need to play 100% Jack Wood or whatever, but you need to take stances and stuff. And then I had another guy really pissed at me because I told him to play Sammy Smith yesterday on Twitter, and I don't know what else you want me to do, man. I gave you the nuts. I mean, it's that is stupidity beyond belief that JGR willingly threw the race. I don't understand what they did. I don't understand that at all, man. What a bunch of idiots at JGR, man. I don't know. I couldn't believe that. That was so dumb. That was so idiotically dumb to keep John Hunter Nemechek and Sammy Smith out. I couldn't absolutely believe it. Why would you absolutely just piss the race away with the two fastest cars? I don't understand that at all. That was insane. That was insane. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent there. Thoughts on Reddick? Did look fast. Finish, starts fifth. I mean, I like the four Chevys above him. I like some Chevys behind him. I probably won't get any Reddick today. I will say this: I have Reddick for 11 laps led, 20 fast laps. I have Reddick finished 9th today. I just think there's more people who can pass him. But that's, maybe I'll miss on Reddick. Who knows? But I'm just targeting so many other people that I feel way more confident in than Reddick there. What car is speed outside top 15 DC with speed? I mean, is that... I both like that question and I don't like that question. If you watch NASCAR, you already know. You can make... Who have speed outside the top 15? I mean, we can make very easily arguments for 10 people back here. Anywhere from, Penske guys, even though very iffy there. Eric Jones, Gregson, Keselowski, Dillon, Bubba Wallace, Barry and stuff like that. I don't think that's the right question to ask. The right question to ask is who can you afford once you get in whoever you want to target in your lineups. That's where I'm at there. How long can Bowman stay out front? I mean, as long as possible. These the short tracks, I cap my projections, right around the high 70s and stuff, because if I just give I have Bowman for 40 laps led, 33 fast laps. But I just kind of capped it there because he's going to be optimal if he does. I mean, realistically, if he does that or anything more, he's going to very easily compete to be an optimal, because that's going to be right around 63 points. Bowman could stay out all day. He could stay out in front all day. He could just stay out. He might get passed out of turn 2 from Kyle Busch. In terms of my confidence between my 3 Hendrick guys that I like, my highest confidence is probably Byron, and then Larson, and then Bowman. But I think Bowman's going to have a severe advantage, on the restart, being the control car, being on the inside lane. He should easily beat Kyle Busch out of turn 2. Competition caution coming into factor. Yes, normally that would hurt the pole sitter, but Bowman has number 1 pit stall, so if he can maintain a running position inside the top 3, he'll probably regain the lead on pit lane. So I think there's a lot of cases that can be made for Bowman to stay out in front in this race. Let's see. Larson, what's going on? Michael, Larson, Reddick, Bowman, Bell, Gregson, Ty Dillon. I mean, I like that build. I like it. I mean, outside of Bell, but I mean, I like that build. I like that line. Ty Dillon is certainly interesting. As I said, he's certainly in play just based on his $4,700 price tag. If this is a situation where you need all the expensive guys, and it just forces him in with look, as we talked about at Phoenix, there are very good. I forgot what the actual winning lineup had, but there are lineups that finished inside the top 15 in the big GPP that had LaJoy not hitting value. I think LaJoy was at 17 points. I just went blank on the other guys. Damn it. I just went blank. But I would not be shocked to see people in the optimal lineup with either right at or just right under 20 points today. Depending on who leads, what happens, how many lap leaders there are, who gets their way through the field. So the Ty Dillon play makes a ton of sense. Very similar to the Cody Ware and Rick Ware plays that we used to. Just hey, they're actually out qualifying people, and I mean, clearly we didn't qualify, but Ty Dillon is now in that position to possibly work, and so I'm not going to tell you to not play any Ty Dillon line, mainly due to the fact that whenever you play a min salary guy, it's because you love the rest of your lineup. So I will never, ever talk anybody out of playing a Ty Dillon line, or even the cheapest guy, specifically at a road course with how many with how many laps there are, and so many fast lap lead points. Let's see. I think the biggest upside for Buescher and Kez is the fact that team seems to always be a factor in pit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Just, man, that 8. Not only is it 8,000, or not only are they in the 8,000, they need 40 points to be there. Like that's a situation where pricing really does come into play. With your 5K guys, you can make arguments to be made. You don't necessarily need to be near value, but when you're paying, in the 8K range, you absolutely need Buescher. You absolutely need Keselowski to be scoring in the 40s today to work. Man, and I got him just slightly under that. So, Haley LaJoy for value, yeah, knock yourself out there. We're perfectly fine. Everybody, honestly, I don't. In terms of the 5K range, being as transparent as possible, I will probably try and have more LaJoy and Todd Gilliland than I will Harrison Burton and Justin Haley. Mainly due to the fact that the lineup construction might be slightly different, and they're direct pivots off of each other. All these 4 guys, Haley, LaJoy, Burton, Gilliland, can all work. I see realistic situations for all 4 of those guys to potentially work out. Now, clearly, not all 4 will work out. It'll be a situation where 2 of those 4 drivers will compete to be optimal. If not both of them together, like there's a real chance here that you need 2 of Haley, LaJoy, Burton, and Gilliland. I will not talk you out of any of those 4 drivers. As I said, I'm going to try and focus more on LaJoy and Gilliland and hope that Burton and Haley can't make their way through the field, but I will have Burton and Haley lineups. Especially if I like a lineup, I will just run the same line and swap them out. Like if I haven't really messed with it, but if I like my top 4 drivers or whatever, certainly 3, and it's a situation where I have $100 left over on salary, you're damn right. I will absolutely enter a Gilliland line, and then I will run that exact same line. I'll put Harrison Burton in it. Same thing with LaJoy versus Haley. Like I will absolutely be mixing these guys, and I don't have a lean more than what I just said there on any of these guys, on any of the 5K range. But I think they are all viable there. What's going on? Hey, it's been a while since I've seen you, Tweety Bird. What's going on? Love God. I thought it was good. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. So first off, I fell asleep and I missed the start of the truck race, and then I went to go out and get a bite to eat. So I was watching on my phone, and then I was listening on the way back because I'm not going to listen to Sirius XM NASCAR radio be 10 minutes behind on my phone. I'm up there competing. I got a fucking double punt lineup that's going to compete to be optimal. And it was horrible, especially not watching the thing, just listening to. I don't know what that booth was doing. I don't know why Fox is so gung-ho on providing such bad content. Thank you for the 114 of you guys watching on this Sunday morning, by the way. But it was bad. Like the call, I remember the call of the last wreck. I'm like driving back to my apartment, and all I hear from Jamie Howe is it's like Zane Smith side by side in there. Nicholas is around. Zane Smith is also around. Carson Hocevar will win the race. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What do you mean? What is this call? What is going on? I feel terrible for Nick. That is some bullshit. Unbelievable, man. Oh my God, that poor bastard. That poor guy. Dude, I can't believe it, man. That just trucks at Texas, man. That trucks in general. Dude, what a bunch of goobers. That truck series field is horrific. It's trash. It's absolutely dog shit. It's dog water. Kyle Busch gets Richmond number 7 and 8. I mean, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. That'd be good. Brandon, who Wednesday? I trust your pick. I mean, And as I said, I love Bowman, Byron, Larson. I believe one of those guys will win this race. In terms of actual projected finish, I have Byron as the highest finisher today. Larson and Bowman tied for third. That's where I would go. And actually, strongly enough, Kyle Busch, based on being the next highest projected finisher, is so. My 4 highest finishers are Byron, Larson, and Bowman. No distinction between those two, and then Kyle Busch. Those are my top 4 guys that I would target if you're looking to bet somebody to win. It'd be one of those 4 guys. Let's come to your channel after church came. Oh, thank you very much, Cameron. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat, Michael. Thank you very much. Based on your projections, what are the best pivots you like from bro? Man. Well, first off, that sounds like a question that you don't have the projections, because you can very easily get that. It's very affordable. I mean, $25 a month on Patreon for like every NASCAR, dude. That's like $2 a race. That's very easily done. Secondly, I think that's a bad question. Based on projections, what are the best pivots you like? I think that is the wrong way to go about it, because there's 2 types of pivots. One is, well, actually there's 3, but it's dictated on 2 things. One is the pricing pivot, which is very much what we were dealing with in the 5K range today, because you have 4 drivers there, all in similar pricing, that you can make arguments for. 2 is the direct, like, who do I have that, other sites or other people have projected for? Who do I have projected higher than like other sites and stuff? But I mean, just based on how I'm approaching, I think and then there's a line of construction pivot as well. I don't even remember the question. Based on your projections, what are the best pivots you like? I mean, from top to like the 6K range. So the entire field, I mean, come on, Colts. That's if you ask like driver stuff, but that question's way too open for me to accurately answer. This week feels kind of unique. Usually DK, I can fade a lot of the most expensive drivers. This week I went to jam in the top 4. Yeah, it's and I think that's very viable, and I have to assume that type. So when we look at this race, in terms of what we imagine the lineup is going to look like, if we don't get a third lap leader by probably stage 3, there's probably going to be place differential taking over the second and third. Not the second and third. It'll probably be the third and fourth spots in your lineups. As I said, I think Suarez is going to compete to be there. Josh Berry can compete to do that. There's a real chance Harvick can do that. And not necessarily need to lead laps. If we get 3 lap leaders, then it'll very much come to just jamming in those 3 lap leaders and just probably playing in the value range to fill that lineup out. It's a fun one, man. It's a really interesting one. And the FanDuel's the same thing. Real quick, I know I don't necessarily talk about that a lot, but I'm just gonna be jamming in guys that I think are gonna be running inside the top 10 at some point in this race today. Hell yeah, machine. Yeah, that was a wild finish, man, for that Truck Series. That was a wild Truck Series race in general. Is Hamlin overpriced? Yes, I would argue yes. Actually, let me make sure. Hamlin 10-1. I mean, based on my projections, he is. Based on track history, they're priced really based on what they've done at the track and how they're performing. And I'm assuming that DraftKings is probably leaning more to track history at this point, because Joe Gibbs has always been very successful at Richmond. And as I said, I think we're going to see Hendrick be there today, but based on just what they normally do, I think Hamlin is priced for that accordingly. But based on this race, I think he's overpriced, or where he's starting at least. Let's see. Put a long shot bet on Hocevar 15-1. Yeah, oh, that's awesome, dude. And, I mean, as soon as I got home and I saw Hocevar one, I was like, all right, cool, I can turn that shit off. I'll rewatch it later. I don't want to watch Hocevar fucking celebrating. Dude, of course he wins like in the most wildest way. You could look at it. I mean, he's had races taken away, or he's been close before. But what a wild first race for Hocevar to win. Let's see. Interesting. I don't know, man. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't personally be on Hamlin, but that's just me. What's going on, Harry? Happy to have you here. BVP, thank you for the continuous support on the channel. Going on way over on Reddick, eh? I mean that'd be a. That's. I mean, I honestly prefer playing Reddick. Let's kind of not necessarily talk pivots and stuff, but I would absolutely prefer Reddick over Blaney, over Logano, and maybe, honestly, possibly over Hamlin and Truex. Realistically talking, I think Reddick makes a way better play than those guys. So if you are on that thing of like, oh, I want some Logano, I want some Blaney, some Blaney exposure, I want some Hamlin and Truex exposure. Between those guys, I would probably try and prioritize some lineups to go to Reddick instead, and possibly even push those other ownerships down a little bit on your in your lineups and stuff. What's going on, Pat? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for just always all this continuous support, guys. I really appreciate it, Pat. And you left a comment. Normally you just throw it in there, Pat, and you just disappear, and I don't hear anything from you. Going over, Kyle Busch. I mean, I'm so glad that this content has helped. That's why I was not. I mean, you're gonna have bad days in NASCAR and stuff as well, but I was floored when Anthony on the Truck Series video typed, he's done nothing but lose money. I'm like, there's no way, man. If you're listening to me, it's got to be your approach, your lineup construction, because we're having a really, really good season so far. And there's been a lot of people in the community who have had a really, really good season as well, Patreon and non-Patreon, just viewers of this race. I think there's bigger issues there for that feller. But yeah, Kyle Busch, and in terms of exposures, because I yet again, reiterate, I can't implore you enough to like Hendrick today. But as soon as I'm like, okay, let me remove Byron from this line, I'm gonna put in Kyle Busch. Let me take out Larson from this line. I'm gonna put in Kyle Busch. Let me take Bowman out of this line. I'm gonna put in Kyle Busch. Those are my 4 priorities today. I think Kyle Busch is going to be up there all day. Kyle Busch has really good pit stall. I would not be shocked to see Kyle Busch get the lead from pit road in this race, especially if we're in a situation where Kyle Busch comes in. Bowman's first, Kyle Busch is second. Bowman slight hesitation, or Kyle Busch has a slightly faster pit crew than Bowman. There's a real chance that Kyle can get the lead on pit lane today. And that's where the lead is going to be dictated. You are not going to pass somebody for the lead here. Maybe on the initial restart, but once people get a feel for what the setup is going to do, I don't see passing on this track at all. The passing for the lead will be taking place on pit lane. That's what's just going to happen there. And yet again, how do you get the lead on pit lane? How do you build lineups that have that? Well, you play guys who are going to be running at least inside the top 7. And let luck carry you from there. Really, that's really what it comes down to and stuff. Reddick finished top 10 in both races last year. I have Reddick, as I said, I have Reddick for 9th. I just like other guys more. You got to take stands somewhere. So I will probably be underweight on Reddick today. Thoughts on Gibbs in the 7K range? Man, that 7 and 8K range is tough. I don't believe. Let me look real fast. When I ran my lines earlier, the highest Ty Gibbs line that I had was ranked 31st. I would prefer McDowell over him. I would probably prefer a different build with him. I might have 1 or 2 lines with Ty Gibbs, but that is just trying to just land on guys holding their positions. I don't really have a real priority to chase after Ty Gibbs there at all. I don't really have a feel. I like Ty Gibbs way more than Chris Buescher. I like Ty Gibbs way more than Stenhouse. But I like McDowell. I like LaJoy. I like Gilliland. I mean, I know those guys aren't necessarily in the same price range, but that's kind of my feelings on Ty Gibbs. McDowell or Chandler Smith? I would go with... I will go with McDowell. I'm going to go with McDowell. Just holding his position and being up there. Like, if... Swear to God, man. Swear to God. Dude. It's not that I have a bias toward... I mean, clearly I'm not a big fan of the guy. But in terms of DFS and stuff, he just always shocks me by his performances and ability to get into high-scoring lineups by just holding positions. I can't believe it. So I'm going to go with McDowell. I got McDowell to finish 14th today. So there's that. Been live for around 40 minutes now. I think unless we got any other, last minute questions and things like that, I think I am probably going to, let me check Patreon real fast. Done, or not Patreon, Discord. He wants me to talk about the bad chalk versus the good chalk. So I don't know who's chalk, because I don't know if people are going to just be like, my projections are leaning towards people not passing and people not getting through the field. And so by that, I have no interest, no plans to play any Eric Almirola. I am not playing Ryan Preece. I am not playing Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, Chris Trabell, Chase Briscoe. I am not playing those drivers. I think people will want to play Preece. I think people will want to play Eric Almirola. Is that chalk? I don't necessarily think so. But I have to try and look at chalk of people that would want to build like me. And so due to that, Suarez and Barry seem like popular plays. I think those are good plays. And I think they can very easily... I think they're certainly safe as much as you can get here at this track. I still think Suarez is probably the safest play in this race. But I honestly don't know who the chalk is going to be, nor do I really care, to be honest with you. I'm kind of just doing my own approach here. But that's a question from the Discord. Best of luck to you, Michael. ACS, yet again, a guy who is a longtime supporter of the channel in Patreon. We're always chatting in there. We got a lot of people that I really truly enjoy talking with in Patreon, and I've never ever, and I've really made sure that my Discord just hasn't turned into like some trash toxic Discord, man. I'm in a lot of other ones that I kind of go through their NASCAR channels, and bro, I'm like this is just a waste of time, dude. Anyway, any concern with Kyle Busch RCR performance at Phoenix? Yes, that is certainly a concern. It is a concern, but I think the pit road can save him if he falls outside the top 10. I mean, he's fucked. That's just how it's going to be. But if Kyle Busch can maintain a top 5 running position through the first part from when we get that competition caution, and certainly if he can stay top 7 in the stage, I think he is just as shot as anybody. But I think that can be said with anybody. Like if Chastain falls out of the top 10, I mean his day's just fucked, to be honest with you. It's going to be really, really hard to pass. I know it's not the same. But Kyle Busch was fast at in Los Angeles to start the year off. I know it's not the same. But I like the fact that, I mean, that's something we can look at. I like the fact that Kyle Busch hasn't been complete garbage in the road course at COTA. He wasn't necessarily, I mean, he wasn't killing the field or anything, but he wasn't completely off. He wasn't completely terrible. When we look at this package that, you know, yeah, it's lower downforce. These drivers are driving a lot more, but it's really hard for me to make a lot of cases against Kyle Busch. In that same sentence, it's really hard for me to make a lot of cases for him to be faster than Larson, Byron, and Bowman, but I think he will be right there. Same thing with Chastain. Chastain will be right there all day. Do they get the lead on pit lane? Do they get the lead on strategy? That's more of how I see Kyle. Like, if Kyle Busch wins this race, it's on pit lane. If Ross Chastain win this race, it's on pit lane. If Byron and Bowman win this race, it'll probably be because they were, running first or second, and then got the lead from each other on pit lane, or passed each other probably out of two on a restart. But I think they have the speed to back it up. Where Kyle Busch, Chastain, and certainly people like Harvick and stuff probably need to gain position on pit lane to get it. Oh, why'd you retract that? No. Oh, no. Why'd you take that away? That was a good question. That was a good question, ACS. I didn't mean to make you remove that. I'm sorry. Do you think Ricky can finish top 15? His ownership, I mean, fucker, it's not top 15. He needs to finish. So this is what I have Stenhouse for. His pricing is really annoying. I have Ricky Stenhouse for 13th. Now, due to that, we need him to get some fast laps in this race to be somewhat viable. I gave him 8 fast laps. Now, some of you might agree, some of you might not, but I typically use the fast laps because I'm not going to project people for solid positions. Okay, I think that's too much to do. Like, you can't be like, oh, he's got a good pit road. He's got a good stall in pit lane. I'm going to give him 5 more positions. I think that's too extreme. But I typically calculate pit stall selection, and I factor that into fast laps slightly. So I gave Stenhouse 8 fast laps based on the fact that he has a really good pit stall today. I mean, realistically, that has him. I have him projected for 28 points. That's right at value. I don't think he can. Like, it's not. Can Stenhouse stay top 15? If Stenhouse works, he needs to stay top 10 all day. He needs to stay 8th all day. That's what we're doing. Or that's really the question you should be asking. Because top 15 will not get it done. He's not going to kill your line, but if you take those fast laps away, he's going to be right at 25 points. And at that rate, you're going to have Priest and Eric Almirola probably scoring more than that. You're going to have Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace scoring more than that. Probably AJ Allmendinger scoring more than that. He'll be right next to, if not scoring less than Todd Gilliland, then McDowell, LaJoy. So, Stenhouse has to basically run and probably finish 7th or 6th today to be there. But that's where I'm at. All right, I am probably going to let you guys go. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Best of luck in this race. Hopefully we can land on some lap leaders, and hopefully this race just goes green so it's over with and we don't have stupid stuff to worry about and deal with there. But thank you guys very much for being here. Very quickly, yet again, Mark Curtis, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much, BVP, for always supporting the channel. Thank you very much, Pat, for always supporting the channel, and always just send me some money through here. If you guys want to support me, support what I do, I have a PayPal link in the description below. I have a Patreon. It's the start of the month. Great time to join if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next week in some preview videos and stuff like that. So best luck today. See you.